Hello and welcome back, dear students. I hope all are you doing well and taking proper care of yourself. Today in this video, we will learn about Plato's place in Western political theory, Plato's place in classical political philosophy. So, dear students, Plato's political philosophy, which emerges from his writings, has its special importance in the history of the Western political theory. Jovet, the Dialogues of Plato 1902, rightly described Plato as the father of philosophy, politics, and literary idealism. He says, nowhere in Plato is there a deeper irony or a greater wealth of humor or imagery, or more dramatic power, as in the Republic. Nor in any other of his writings is the attempt made to interweave life and speculation or to connect politics to philosophy. Professor Maxey, Political Philosophies 1961, writes, but the midriff of his Plato's political philosophy was timeless and universal. As a Greek of the post-Periclean period, he was an anti-expansionist, a disbeliever in democracy, a foe of commercialism, and an admirer of Lacedaemonian militarism. But as an analyst of social and political institutions and a seeker of the ideal, he was the forerunner and inspirer of most of the anti-materialistic political philosophies, reconstructive political theories, and radical political programs which have appeared in subsequent ages. For Emerson, Plato was philosophy and philosophy Plato. Plato's contribution to the Western political thought is without any parallel. He has given it a direction, a basis, and a vision. Political idealism is Plato's gift to Western political philosophy. An idealist, as Plato really was, he was more interested in future than in the present. In a model that a state can be then in the actual state, in the form of the state, then in a state that appears at present. This does not mean that the idealist do not take into account what the present or the actual state is. In fact, the idealist build the fabric of future on the basis of the present. It is the present that dictate their future. Plato's idealism was grounded in the circumstances of the then city-states. He was a movement to change the Greek of his own times, not for the past as Popper says, but for a future, for a model, and that too through a rational plan. Accordingly, Plato can be described as an idealist, but not a utopian, a physician and not a life giver, a reformer and not a dreamer. There is originality in Plato insofar he had built not very uncommon institutions on postulate he thought basic. Plato's significance lies in making education as the bedrock on which is structured the whole ideal state. If the whole scheme of education is practiced completely, the development of the state is certainly assured. Sound education and sound nurturing are guarantees for full-fledged betterment. He was of the opinion that the state could be structured afresh as against Popper's view of piecemeal social engineering. Plato is a philosopher and at the same time an idealist. A philosopher is one who thinks more than he sees. He sees things in general and avoids what is particular. Plato was such a philosopher who saw the general deteriorating conditions of the city-states of his time. He sought to diagnose the ailment rather than the symptoms. What ailed the ancient Greek society was the ever-sickening corrupt rulers and and his diagnosis then was to give the people a set of rulers who knew the art of ruling. Plato was such a philosopher who never lost sight of philosophy, one that was idealistic, purposive, future oriented, and normative, and yet within the framework of actual conditions. He did reach the heights, but the remained within the reached of framework of actual conditions. He was thus a philosopher who remained within the boundaries of realities. He was a philosopher who looked toward the sky but with his feet grounded on the earth. Plato may not be a saint, but he is a teacher of all of us. We can criticize him, but we cannot ignore him. Plato's another contribution to Western political thought was his radicalism. He innovated novel ideas and integrated them skillfully in a political science. His radicalism lies in the fact that his rulers are rulers without comforts and luxurious possessed by men of property. They are masters without owning anything. They are parents without calling the children their own. They have powers, absolute powers, but they also have absolute responsibilities. It was a plan to organize the entire social order on the basis of knowledge, skill, and expertise. It was a total negation to the Periclean idea of participatory democratic order with emphasis on capacity and individuality rather than equality. Plato's attempt in the Republic is to portray a perfect model of an ideal order. With primary of education, he conceived of an elite which would wield power not for themselves but for the good of the society. But there was no prescriptions for checking degeneration or abuse of power. It is because of such an important omission, his more realistic pupil, Aristotle, conceived of an ideal state not on the blueprint of republic but of the laws. The beginning of the modern democratic order based on the rule of law could be traced to the laws and not to the republic. However, Plato's place in Western political thought is matchless. His legacy spread with age, and it is really difficult to prepare a list of subsequent political philosophers who might not have Plato's imprint either explicitly or implicitly. So that's all for today. I hope you understand the Plato's place in Western political theory very well. So dear students, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the content of this video, do like, share, comment and click the subscribe button so you can receive more content like this every week.